Welcome back to the Fitness Formula Podcast. I'm your host, Jake. Today we got Andreas here with us.
What's up? What's up?
Go ahead, introduce yourself a little bit.
My name's Andreas Jermaine. I'm from Decatur, Illinois originally. Moved down here to Frisco, Texas about a year ago. And man, it's been one hell of an adventure, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been really enjoying myself and enjoying the process of everything that I've had to do since I've been here within a year, because actually I think today is the 15th.
Yeah.
And I left on the 15th of
wow.
last year. So this is
official year
awesome,
marker.
man. Yeah, so
Nice.
this is my year marker, and to be doing this podcast today with you, man, is a blessing actually, so I appreciate it.
Well, I'd love to have you. What have been some of the more eye-opening experiences since you moved down here to Texas?
The eye-opening experiences have been navigating around here first and foremost, you know, because I'm come from a smaller city,
Right.
and just hitting the highway is just a quick little shot straight one direction.
Yeah.
But to be down here and have to navigate around and see what's going on with the construction and all of that has been a challenge in and of itself, just to navigate.
Dude, I hate driving through Dallas, just all the
Man,
different turns and stuff. I can't do it.
And then people down here cannot drive.
That too.
They do not use turn signals.
No.
So but outside of that, man, just seeing what's all around here and seeing the growth and the prosperity that's here.
Yeah. How did you sort of get into personal training, starting to coach people up, stuff like that?
Let me take you back a little bit.
Okay.
Mind you, I did a little time. So having been away, man, I had started when I was away. And it just started with me working out by myself, and then having some guys that just wanted to work out with me, and I would be the one to write up like what we were going to do for the day. And I was also looking into different fitness magazines too, to take some of those workouts, and I would write them down, 4 sets of this, 4 sets of that, the reps and everything. I would get to the gym, get our equipment, and have us do what I had written down. So from there, I actually found my niche because it was just too easy.
Right.
And having started with working out with those guys and showing them what to do, let me know that I was pretty much on to something, just with knowing how to train. And then there was a guy in there who actually was taking like what's called a correspondence course, where he had got certified through I think it was ISSA at the time. And he was telling me about it, and I wanted to do it, but I never did. And then when I finally came home, I jumped down with NASM and got into it. And from there, man, the rest is history,
Nice. What do you feel like drew those guys to you to want to work out with you?
Just seeing my drive,
Right.
and how I superset everything.
Yeah.
I would, man, bro, because I mean, you didn't have a lot of time to really get it in.
Right.
We may have had like 30 minutes, and we were supposed to have an hour. But when you're in there, they don't give a damn about none of that, So within 30 minutes, I would grab everything I needed, and then basically just superset everything. Give myself a little rest in between.
Yeah.
But they saw that, and then being around certain individuals, we just start having conversation, and the next thing you know, we're working out.
Right. I feel like you have one of the higher ceilings out of any of the personal trainers I meet or talk to. Do you feel like you're reaching that ceiling, or is there anything like you can be doing to kind of get there?
You know what, man? It's fun to me. So
Right.
It's like a kid on the playground exploring and just wanting to be imaginative with what's going on around the area, taking advantage of whatever it is that's there. And that's what I do. Right. And that's how I feel when I work out, because it's like, we can do some of the same workouts and, have a program and, really change how we look and everything like that and feel better. But if you're not incorporating other aspects of a training regimen, then the muscle imbalances that we develop will start to take will have an effect on our body, to where it's like if you don't stretch, for instance, or take some yoga classes, you know what I mean? your
You're
muscles are
tighten
you
up.
just
It's not
stay
gonna
tight.
respond the way you want it to
I can't
respond.
even wash my back and shit.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
because I haven't stretched out and lengthened my muscles. So putting in different workouts helped me to really start thinking about the importance of different
Right.
training regimens.
Yes. And then I guess along with the reason why I see that high ceiling with you is just because of your attitude and like how positive you can be and like your perspective on things. How did you sort of come to gain that perspective?
That perspective, again, it goes back to having been
time,
away,
right,
yeah, and just having done extensive reading, man.
Right.
I used to read a lot of self-help books, Think and Grow Rich, As a Man Thinketh, just all kind of different books that help my perspective. One of my favorites is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
Right.
And I actually, when we talked about it or brought it up, you had showed me that you had it, man.
Yeah.
And I had let you know that was one of the, man, that was life-changing for me because it had spoke to the paradigm shift that you have to have in order to see things differently. And, you know, the psychology of just, okay, we can both be looking at the same thing, but have a different perspective because you're looking at it from one angle and I'm looking at it from another. So that helped me to start making a shift in how I saw myself and how I saw my relationship to the world.
Mm-hmm. I know personally I have a hard time sort of training like those more functional movements, and that's one thing like I really admire about you. How do you sort of, I don't know, how did you sort of get into that flow, like get into being able to coach that with your clients?
That started with me again going back to practicing a little bit of yoga.
Right.
Didn't do much Pilates, but I would just watch a video or two.
Yeah.
But I would have to say, man, it was just one day. I think I was watching if I can remember correctly, I was watching a video. I can't recall his name at Athlete X, the guy. That guy. Awesome. And he just said little did he know when he said Arsenal. It clicked for me. And I was like, oh, wow.
It's a whole toolbox.
Yeah, it's a whole tool. It's Arsenal move.
Yeah.
I can really play with that, you know?
Right.
And from there, I started thinking about how I could just start moving different and coming up with different ways of just using the weights and everything like that, being creative. Right. And so I started working with the clients that I had. And mind you, to continuously do different things won't really get the results that you want because sometimes you got to stick to something so that the body can adapt. Yeah. And I had to actually learn that too, though. It wasn't like I was like, okay, I know I can do this and maybe we can, and there won't be any changes, but I knew I had to eventually get to stick to something, and stay with it for at least 4 to 6 weeks, and stuff like just so that again the body can adapt. Yeah. But the process, man, just started with just myself doing different things, playing around. Like I said, remember I was mentioning the kid on the playground. Yeah. I just start rolling around on the floor, and next thing you know, I got a movement. Yeah. I got something that I can incorporate now and add to my arsenal and share it with whoever I train.
I like that. I feel like I always see or always hear about you educating yourself on something. You always got a video to show me. Mm-hmm. Kind of where did that wonder come from? Like where did that just eagerness to learn sort of come from?
I was fortunate actually, man, to have a mother who like back in the day, there used to be people that walked around, man, selling encyclopedias. Wow.
Yeah, right. About that, yeah.
I'm 46, so it was a little while ago, but man, they would walk around selling encyclopedias, and she bought them, and I always used to like to look through them and just kind of read about different things, and my knack for learning came from just going through, flipping through the encyclopedia, man. And from there, I just the willingness to want to just keep learning intrigued me. So just always just knowing that it's important to take in information and just enhance how you see things. This is over time, of course, but just realizing that, man, let me know that shit for the rest of my life I'm gonna have to keep learning because everything is changing constantly. And new information is coming out. Things that get studied 10, 15 years switch up a little bit
Exactly,
sometimes because it's like, oh, we didn't know this
about that,
then.
yeah.
We know it now,
Right.
you know, and now this is new information that we can incorporate or adopt because of the studies, you know. So it's just ever changing, man, you know.
And it's just crazy how like whenever we have just new technology, we can go back and like run the same test and get completely, you know, new results with just how we can test it now.
Yeah.
With those like kind of self-help books, with how much education you've done, doesn't even have to be trainers in general, but just like young generation in general, what would be some of your advice for them?
Really to constantly work on yourself, because everything starts with self. It starts with how you train yourself. It starts with how you see yourself. It actually also starts with how you talk to yourself too.
I think that's a big one, especially in fitness, but just in the general world. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm so stupid, or why did I do that? And then it's kind of that same thing of shifting the paradigm. If you're always thinking of yourself in a negative light, or you're thinking, you know, you're not capable, you're never going to get to that next level.
Definitely. And so, yeah, man, and it's like with having a view of yourself that is positive for the most part,
right?
You can share how you share with another how you treat yourself. It's basically, you know, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
You give to another what you give to yourself. Yeah. You know.
Any other advice?
Well, yeah, man, I got all kind of advice, man. You know, but I also like to receive advice too, because I'm not one to shun information that I think would be useful for me. But man, I think for the most part, never stop learning. That's the main thing, because you know, again, just sitting here having conversation stems from me having learned what I've learned to share it and pass it on and use it. So it's just one of those things where like, if you have a language barrier, or if you don't know how to read, or if you like have a limited vocabulary, you won't be able to really like open up and share enough because you're so limited. So you want to just keep yourself open to receive, like a sponge almost, and just absorb information that will be helpful and useful. Some stuff you discard, but there's some stuff you keep and hold on to, and just pass it on, man, and give it away, you know? Because again, when you give it away, you just get more that comes in to help you.
Exactly.
You know?
I always try to remember, like, only fools think that they know enough. So always be open for that, you know, that information to come in. Obviously, like, know what to discard, but always be ready to kind of absorb new information.
Most definitely, bro. Most definitely.
How do you define success for yourself?
You know, that's a good question, man. I've heard that asked before, and then when I heard it asked, I would always think to myself, how would I define success? And for me, man, I would just have to say, moving forward in a way where I know some type of progress is being made. Because if I was to just define success based off, I'm only successful when this happens.
Like metrics.
Yeah. Then for me, I think I might become a little discouraged in thinking about being successful. But for me, if I'm making a little bit of progress and I'm making little accomplishments, those small accomplishments that we can make, for me, that's success, because it's just building those blocks to help me get to where I want to be, you know. And then, you know, the journey is all about, you know, the journey. You know, you talk about, man, you know, people focus on the destination. That's one thing, but it's what you learn along the way, and the things that we pick up, the gems, you know, that we can, that help to enhance us, you know. To me, that's being successful, because I'm moving in a direction that's enlightening me, that's helping me to get better, it's helping me to figure out some things that I need to work on for myself that I can share, stuff like that, you know. So that's how I define success for me.
With that, what do you feel like is most valuable to you?
Most valuable? Man, that's a great question there, man. There's a few things, you know. What's coming to my mind is that I've been having to do shadow work here lately, right? And what I mean is, I've been having to really get into myself and really think about who I am as a person and how I need to feel, you know, especially in relationships and things like that.
Yeah.
And because, you know, it'll.
So with shadow work, you mean like almost like looking at yourself from like a third person point of view and like taking an inventory of like what it is.
Yes,
really
that's
doing.
a perfect explanation and breakdown of that. Yes. And saying, you know what, I need to do away with this.
Right.
I need to, like, you know, chip away at that.
Yeah.
You know, because some stuff don't happen overnight. You
Exactly.
know?
Yeah.
And so I value, man, being able to evolve as a human being and get to know myself on a different level, because as we grow and get older and learn more, we change.
Right.
And there's a different version of ourself that, you know, comes about as we go, you know, forward in life. So the Jake today is not going to be the Jake at 50. It's going to be more enhanced, more knowledgeable. You're going to, like, you know, people going to come through into your life in and out. So there's no telling what will happen throughout that whole process to you in the interim, as far as, you know, what becomes of you. So that's how I look at myself. And even in this moment, it's valuable because it's an opportunity again to share. So it all comes back around to self. You know, so what's valuable, man, is just, for me, is learning more about me, sharing, and you know, being a catalyst in the world, man, to help others, you know, just better understand who they are, and work on just knowing that you just gotta this is for the rest of your life. You know,
you gotta commit to it and commit to that that ability to help people and to, you know, evolve yourself.
Yeah.
What do you feel like some of the things are that you need to be chipping away at or getting rid of?
Another good question, man. You got some heat, man.
My job, man.
Yeah, I like this. I
feel like there's always that's a crazy thing, but with someone like as advanced as you are and as mature as you are now, and even what you've been through, I think it's also important to state. I mean, it always seems like there's always something that we can like chip away at.
It is, man. It is, and I would have to say, you know, I'm gonna be honest, man. I've gotten better, but I used to be a procrastinator, bro.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that's
so
me.
Yeah. So I had to, you know, I've chipped away at that a whole lot, and I've gotten a lot better, and I still need to, you know, just rid myself of being that way and just move forward. You know, like if I tell myself that I'm gonna do something, I need to just do that shit.
Do you feel like it's distractions with either, like, I know with me, it could either be like girls, it used to be like substances, like kind of what are the biggest detractors, I guess, that cause you to procrastinate?
For me, having too much on my plate and not knowing which one I should get off into, you know, like, okay, I got this, and this I need to do. Which one should I? And then while I'm waiting around, I'm letting time go by, and it's like, you know, procrastination is the thief of time, man.
Exactly.
So I just know that it's important for me to really tell myself, look, if I'm gonna do this, I have to like move towards it.
I don't know if it's the exact quote, but I do know, like, there's a quote that sort of goes like, you know, if you don't make the decision, life will make it for you.
Oh,
you know?
wow. Yeah, for sure.
And then at that point, you're just same thing. You're not in control. You're kind of just going through the motions.
Mm-hmm.
I guess with, so those, let me think here. Do you have any more distractions?
Distractions? Not really, man. Cause I've gotten pretty good with paying attention to how I need to be.
Right.
And if I was to think of anything, really, man, it's because believe it or not, I don't even watch TV.
Oh yeah.
So and when I'm on these social platforms, I'm always searching for
Productive
something
stuff,
that can help to, you know, get me to start thinking about something that like what I need to do or what I can get into. Like take for instance this Chat GPT that's coming about. Bro, that's
changing, bro.
Yeah, that's a game changer for the world, you know. So I've been learning a lot about that. And if I was to say it's a distraction, it's just that I'm just putting a lot of time into learning that. I don't know if that, and see, it's not even really a distraction.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying it like this. If I know I need to do something it can distract me because I'm putting a lot of time in trying to learn that.
Right.
But for me, it's a positive because I'm getting something out of it. But I know I need to be over here handling this business too, you know, so that something like that could be a distraction for me.
You say you have a lot on your plate, or a lot of different plates. I know you're a family man. So sort of how do you balance everything going on?
Well, being here in Texas, I'm actually by myself.
By yourself.
However, my son, and you know, I got grandkids, and you know, I got my family back north, man. I think about them a lot. I just think about how I just need to keep moving forward to help to advance myself so that I can pass on the things that I accomplished along the way to them eventually, and share again knowledge, understanding of things, and you know, give them you know, advice on what I think they could do to help themselves out. So the balance just comes in where it's like, you know, thinking about how I just need to continuously work on me.
You don't have to get too into it, but like, what is that sort of relationship like with your family? Like, do you miss them? Like, is it hard being away from them?
Yeah, it is. It's a challenge, man. There's some things going on now, man, that I gotta address, you know, and handle and take care of. But for the most part, man, it is a challenge because, growing up, man, the family was what it was, but it was still dysfunctional. Right. But, you know, when you snap out of things, you just got to know, for myself, I have to know that I can make a difference with who I've become and speak to different things that I feel like need to be talked about so that we can all try to make change and help each other out in a different way other than before. Right. It is a challenge to know that some of my family members are still in the same situation or position and not really trying to come out of anything because they're so complacent. You know, with circumstances. I don't like that. You know, so that's something that I try to encourage for them to say, hey, step out of your comfort zone sometimes. You have to, because that's where the growth occurs.
Do you have any sort of like golden nuggets or any advice for, you know, obviously like no one has all the right answers, but I guess in terms of like fatherhood or, you know, I guess like family structure?
Man, you know what? Having been away, I mean, having practiced, I you know what? Honestly, I haven't had much practice in that department. Is there anything maybe like, I mean, we can always go back, but do you wish like either you had received as a child or maybe that you wish you could pass on to your kids or wish that your kids will do? Yeah, for sure. There are some things that I wish I would have had, you know what I mean, growing up, because for a time, man, I was emotionally unavailable. And I had to be that way to a degree because of the circumstances I was in. But on top of it, it came about a little too easy because of the lack of what I didn't get coming up. So being able to share now my emotional side more and open up and talk about different things, I think is important. Because
being emotionally available for your family. And kind of letting it be okay to be aired out and talked about. I feel like that's a big thing with families is like, it's funny, you think you're so close and you think you're either so close with your kids or with your parents or sisters or whatever, but there isn't that like emotional maturity there to actually like talk about the legitimate feelings.
Exactly.
And with that comes like a lot of like shame. I think. And shame is like, I think, a very heavy feeling.
And it's uncomfortable. I know I put something out there the other day that sometimes like conversations have to be had even when they're uncomfortable, especially the uncomfortable ones. You have to have, like, you gotta talk about this stuff and get it out, because if you don't, then again you'll perpetuate the same condition, you know, until you talk about it, you know, and get it out. So
what would your dream scenario be career-wise?
Dream scenario career-wise, to pretty much, man, I mean, owning my own brand, and really speaking to the Arsenal movement, letting it be known how important it is to have a variety of exercises in your toolkit, to take from, so that not only, you know, as you work out and develop yourself, you can have fun with it too.
Yeah.
You know, some people get bored with doing the same thing all the time.
Right.
And I'm always, you know, I'm big on like breaking the monotony. Again, we got to have a program, but at the same time, establishing an arsenal where, you know, your body is effective no matter what it is that you choose to do is the key. And speaking to that is pretty much my dream to have others
represent that.
Right? Yeah. And possibly, hey, I'll train you on this, and you know, I'm the trainer who trains the trainer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where do you feel like you've improved most as a personal trainer since you've moved to Texas?
Where have improved the most is how I communicate with my clients and how I speak to their needs more.
Yes.
And really get down to how we can work on helping them with change.
Right.
The change management aspect of it all.
Yeah.
And so having become more knowledgeable as far as what to say, what questions to ask, has helped me to really get inside the mind of the client, to get them to understand that they must do this or this or this or whatever it is I explained to them about how we may need to correct these issues.
Right.
Because a lot of a lot of people they just don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who is trying to really learn the human anatomy, you know, if you're not a doctor, somebody studying for it.
Right.
You don't know. You know what I mean? You know, like, oh my God, my I'm having this issue here, and
a lot of trainers are just like, we'll just stay away from that for now.
Yeah. Not maybe knowing that it could be originating from somewhere else in the body, because everything's connected. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, we may have an issue down here, so we got to work out some stuff that's going on around it to see how we can correct that imbalance possibly, you know?
Exactly. What are some of those go-to questions that you might ask your clients, or what are those questions that you sort of learned to ask whenever your communication was improving?
First is like, how do you see yourself in relationship to just your health?
Right.
You know, like, because again, you know, how a person sees themselves is important. And that's what helps me to say, okay, how do you even speak to yourself?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll ask like, so what do you, you know, what does health mean to you? Like how you ask me, what does success mean? I'll ask them, what does health mean to you?
Right.
You know, what is looking healthy? What does health look like?
Yeah.
You know, what does being strong and active look like?
Yeah.
You know,
that's a big one, and I'm smiling a little bit because I feel silly that I don't really ask that question enough. I feel like, because whenever someone comes to me, and I've said this before, and it's silly on my part, but I'm like, oh, you just want to get jacked, or like, you know, let's just get you strong. But you know, for some people, what health means to them is being able to have, you know, a couple drinks on the weekend and look decent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So people's health goals are completely different.
Exactly. True.
What was surprising to you, I guess, about the personal training industry whenever you came here? Did you have certain expectations of what it was going to be like, and then was it kind of different than what you were expecting, or were you happy?
Well, before I actually came here, man, I was getting on YouTube, listening to people who had already been in the industry. So I was getting a little bit of insight on their experiences. Right. And then when I came and got into it myself, I mean, I wasn't really surprised. I was just like, okay, this is just everyday stuff, and I mean, there's a way in which you have to do things, of course, because you're in this system that is wanting to make money and you know, drive a brand and all of that, and I get it. But for me, I was just like, you know, I'm just coming in, being myself, doing what I need to do, and I'm gonna make it happen. Yeah. You know, so I mean, so the expectations just of myself and what I could bring, you know, and not only that, but also what I could learn in the process. And what I've learned is just, you know, being more business savvy is something I learned with being with, you know, Lifetime.
Because that's a funny story I remember, is like, and that was why one of my first questions, I feel like your ceiling is so high, but I remember it was like, Andreas does not ask for the sale, or he just doesn't go for it. Right. And then it was like, you know, 2 days later, it was like, throw it on the table. Yeah. There it is. How did you sort of, because I feel like you are just so genuine, how did you start to balance that or start to approach that like, okay, it's fine for me to ask for, you know, this quote unquote sell. I'm helping this person.
I like when I started learning about the value that we provide.
Yes, yeah.
And so when I started letting that marinate, I really thought to myself like, yeah, I do provide a lot of damn value. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I am worth
yeah.
much,
You know, shit. I mean, I'm really giving up some good information here. You know,
Right.
to the point where, you know, I mean, you got to think, man, we save some people from having to go to the hospital or to see the doctor and spend a bunch of money just to go in, you know, for an issue that could be corrected through just working out.
Right.
Or having or sharing information that will, you know, help them to realize how important eating nutritionally dense foods is, you know, and what it can do for the body and stuff like that. So the information that we give away, it's value to it. So I was like, well, yeah, it's time to start really honing in on that.
Yeah.
You know, and saying, hey, look, this is what I have to offer you, and this is what I'm gonna need for that. You know.
Right. With that, well, with the little bit on nutrition there, what is sort of your, because I feel like you're probably someone who's a little bit more educated on this. What is your thoughts on like the way the current food industry is going?
Oh man, it sucks.
Yeah.
Man, the food industry is horrible, man.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all about money and profits for them, man, bro. I mean, if you go on Netflix and check out different documentaries, man, you'll see like what's really going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know, they don't give a damn.
Yeah.
But
I'm by like no means like vegetarian or vegan or any of that, but there are some times where like I'm meal prepping my chicken and I'm looking at it and I'm like, I know it's not really supposed to look like
I'm
this.
telling you, man. And then some stuff don't smell right, you know what I mean? And you got to think, man, you know, it's 8 billion people in the world. So how are we
feeding them all? And we're still not even really feeding them all.
You know what I mean?
And it's just processed out. It's just it's horrible. Like I've been seeing some videos on like what's really in cereal.
Yeah, bro.
And stuff like that. And that's the stuff you're mainly feeding your kids.
Yeah, genetically modified bullshit. You know, it's. I don't even want to get into it, man. I might get upset. You know? I mean, but it's the food industry is different, man, and it's not catered to helping an individual realize the importance of what we need to really take into our bodies for optimum performance and growth, man. You know, because when it gets down to it. When you go to the molecular level of things, it's all about those vitamins and those minerals, you know, from the earth. You know what I mean? Like natural stuff.
Yeah, like we come from the earth. It's a full cycle. It's literally
a cycle.
So the fact that we're having like chemically made like food is just really disgusting.
It is, man. And you just you know like people who still eat beef, you know, like you don't. Like, do you actually know what's going on with this cow and what it's really eating? And even when they're going through what they go through in their environment, the adrenaline and all of that gets in their bloodstream and all of the stuff that happens to them is in you now. So, you know.
And the food that they eat, like they're not out there eating pastures. Like, they're eating like the scraps of the scraps that we eat. And so now it's just this cycle of just really garbage.
Yes.
With that, I mean, I know I really am looking for some advice. What approach can people have to sort of minimize that amount of stress and like garbage that's going into their bodies?
It's all about learning, man.
Yeah.
Learning and really seeking out information that will help you to make a decision, an informed decision, on what's important, because you know everyone, you know, people who
has their own opinions. I mean, you can find an article supporting your
exactly. Yeah. So it's just all about sifting through the information, but you just got to put in the work and find out what okay, you know what, I need to start changing my eating habits. Let me look up some information that's going to like give me an idea on what approach I can take to get the nutrients that I need for myself. You know, however, you know, a person needs to say it to themselves to.
And I think it's very important that you say like put in the work, because you will the days are gone where you can safely kind of like go to the supermarket and like trust that you're getting like legitimate food. With everything that, you know, you've kind of experienced, moving is really hard. Are there any ways you've learned to cope in positive ways?
Yeah, man, I like listening to Hertz music, believe it or not, and
Hertz?
meditate. Yeah, I meditate, and Hertz is like frequency music.
Okay, yeah.
And it's actually like meditative stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what helps me to cope, you know, just to get into my breath, understanding like how I need to relax myself and really get down to just being still sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, because throughout life, man, the hustle and bustle, you know, it can take its toll if you don't slow down to just process, you know, things and just where you are. Every now and again, you got to do that self-inventory. Right. One of my favorite quotes is, the unexamined life is not worth living. If you don't really pay attention to you and examine where you are and just kind of, again, do that self-inventory, it's like a business, you know, you got to do inventory, you know, garbage in, garbage out, or whatever has been still lingering around. You got to kind of get rid of it and bring some good stuff in to help with production of yourself. So it's like, for me, it's being still sometimes and just thinking about, okay, where am I now? Okay, what do I really need to do moving forward? You know, thinking like that and really calming myself.
Yeah. With the Arsenal of Movement brand, kind of what are the following steps that, you know, you might want to take to kind of get that going a little bit more?
Right now, I'm actually using the Chat GPT.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, to help my understanding of how I need to approach it in a different aspect to help get it out there in the public in a way where it can be understood how I want it to be understood.
Yeah. So you're almost using it as like, you know, like more advanced Google is like how I kind of use it. I mean, because I mean that's sort of how I even came up with like the name of this podcast.
Okay.
I just looked it up. I put top 10 podcast, like fitness podcast names.
Exactly.
This popped up, and I was like, oh, and no one had it on YouTube, so I was like, perfect.
Yeah, and I actually like it, man. This is a hit, man.
Yeah.
But with the Arsenal, it's again, like I say, taking my idea and speaking to it in a way where others can like, oh, okay, that makes like a lot of good sense. Like my infinity sign is representative of there's no one approach. Right. You know, there's so many different avenues that we can use to collect exercises and build on and from and work our bodies and feel good, you know, at the end of the day.
I love that because I feel like that's a big thing I see on Instagram a lot too, and like which is why social media can be so toxic sometimes. But it's like, no, that guy's wrong. This is right. Or you got to train this way. You got to do this. And I feel like, you know, you just got to, you know, there is science behind it, but just, you know, do what feels right for you and be consistent with it.
Be consistent.
Really what gets you there.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people who feel like they're behind in life?
It goes back to the unexamined life is not worth living. You got to really hone in on asking yourself the question, who am I? Yeah. You know what I mean? And even if a person has to go so far to look themselves in the mirror and have a conversation, you know, yo, who are you? Looking at yourself in the mirror, who are you? What am I here to do? Right. What do I feel like I can contribute to, you know? And use that as a starting point to really hone in and break things down for yourself to help you to advance, you know, because some people, you know, just, you know, they don't have those teachings. So asking yourself those questions and really just figuring out you, I think is the key.
Yeah. Who do you think you are?
Awesome. Who do I think I am? I think I'm the shit.
Yeah.
But you know, but for real, man, I think I'm a good person, man. Yeah. And I'm analytical. Yeah. I can be really philosophical. So for me, it's like I'm a spiritual being, man. Having a human experience, and I've adopted that thought pattern for myself too, because for me that's what it is. And in the process of knowing that for myself, that's what helps me to contribute the things that I do in a way that helps to enhance others' understanding of themselves and me too, because what I give away, I also get back.
Right.
So who I am, man, is just a human being, man, here to experience life in a way where, man, at the end of the day, I want to be able to say that I left a decent mark on here on earth that helped people to understand themselves better, because I had to put in the work to understand myself better.
Right. And with being sort of that spiritual being that's just living a human experience, does that help you sort of manage what is like the worldly pains a little bit easier, like as far as like anxiety goes, and like, because it sounds like you've been able to find quite a bit of self-confidence?
Oh yeah. Because I have my own belief system in the Creator, and knowing that the Creator is a great source,
right,
that is also in me. So meditating on that helps me to know that at the end of the day, I'm going to be all right. Of course, I have to sift through my emotions, and I have different thoughts from time to time that I may have to battle. But at the end of the day, if I go back to knowing, or go back to thinking about who I know myself as, that helps me move forward and say, you know what, man up, you have what it takes, get your ass out there, just really talk to myself like that. Right. So man, it can be a challenge, because again, ego can get in the way a little bit, and to not let that become something that overtakes you, in my opinion, will help you to move forward without, getting stuck in a certain pattern of behaviors,
Yeah. Do you feel like you had to turning around point, and how did you sort of transition through that, I guess, like in life in general? Like, was there a moment where you're like, I gotta switch things up, like I gotta change who I am, and how did you sort of make that breakthrough?
Pretty much, man, it started again a while back, when I knew I had to do away with old habits that wasn't serving me. And then just even being older, if I'm doing something and it's not really producing positive results, I just know that I just need to. I got to do away with it. So for me, it has become just that simple. Right. Don't get me wrong, it's still
complicated process.
Yeah, but having gotten there now, it's like that's all I need to say to myself. Yeah. No, this ain't gonna work for me. I got to do away with that. I don't want to be that person, or I don't want to do this because, again, it's not serving me.
Right. What do you feel like the next step for you is?
The next step right now, man, is getting my family, or getting more involved with my family, because there's some things, like I said, I need to get back to with them. So with that, that's gonna help to accelerate what I'm gonna end up doing for them too. But outside of that, the next step, man, is to really become a great trainer and a great motivational speaker too, because I'm working on some life coach stuff. And I got a guy that I've been talking to that I need to meet up with. He's already a life coach, and I'm gonna allow for him to be my mentor, because I think it's good to have a mentor that's already doing something, and you get some information from them, and they help you, navigate how you need to pretty much move in the world with what you want to deliver. So I'm gonna. That's pretty much. That's the next step, man.
So do you see yourself becoming like a life coach and being able to?
Because life, man, in and of itself, this experience is always teaching us something. Right. So for me, everything that I'm learning and developing, I I want to pass it on, you know, and you know, I think when I see myself in that light, I'm like, well, shit, you know, everything I've been through and what I continue to experience, I can share this, I can talk about it, and coach others on how, you know, some thought or a certain thought process will work for them if they adopt, you know, just how they need to see themselves in relationship to the world. Because again, it's always going to go back to how you see yourself.
Right. And I mean, I guess you kind of just answered the question there, but I'll be a little bit more specific. What advice do you have for people who maybe feel self-conscious, either in general or especially going into the gym?
Self-conscious. Okay. It's different for different people. This lady pops up in my mind, man. She didn't, you know, when I was working with her, she didn't want to be out on the floor.
Yeah.
So we went off in a little corner in the gym and worked out there. And what I had shared with her is that you gotta almost think like no one's watching. You just have to think about that. You just got, because if you think about them watching, then that's what you're gonna pay attention to.
You're gonna notice every little eye on you,
you know,
if they're not looking.
Even if they're not looking,
it's gonna be like a glance, and you make it
exactly. You know, it's like a painting hanging on the wall. You know, which way you move, that painting is. You know, if it's a facial features, those eyes are gonna follow you, and that's what a person is gonna think if they don't say to themselves, they're not paying attention to me. So you gotta tell yourself, they're not watching me. Just focus on what you need to do. Focus on your goals. Focus on how you want to see yourself and how you want to feel.
Yeah. How big, and I think it's funny because that can almost be flipped into the positive as well. How important do you feel like, I guess, that I don't know how to say it. Kind of like when you're looking for a red car and then all of a sudden you see a bunch of red cars. How important do you feel like that focus is, I guess, in fitness goals?
Let me see. Let me make sure I'm understanding your question. As far as what to pay attention to?
I guess I'll be a little bit more general because, like, in life in general, when you're looking for an opportunity, like an opportunity presents itself, do you sort of hold that philosophy?
To a degree, because sometimes, man, opportunities are just fall into your lap, but you got to be prepared. Exactly. You know, and that's where they say luck comes from. You know, when preparation meets opportunity for sure. And it's like if you're not ready to take advantage of something, then you know, I mean, you're gonna be just having the problem. You have to adjust and go back to the drawing board so that you can be ready if it comes across your path again. But for the most part, honing in on what it is that you value is, I think, the key to continuously moving forward. It's just keeping those whatever it is your value system is, focus on that and don't deter from it. You know,
like that. Well, I think that's all the questions I got for you.
Cool,
want to say anything?
Yeah, man. Actually, you know, Arsenal Movement Versatility Training, you know, I would want individuals to know that the process in which, you know, we take with how we work out and train our bodies is a universal one. You know, it's a universal process, a universal approach. And I mean, I would encourage people to really hone in on think about how important stretching and really taking care of your body, because everything's connected, your mind, the spirit. So when you take care of your body, you start to feel better. When you start to feel better, you start to move better, and you really build confidence in yourself. So I would just encourage people to keep developing their arsenal, you know, and know that it's all connected. Yeah, it's all connected, man. Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, I'm Jake Jurek. That was the Fitness Formula Podcast. Thanks for listening.
Right on.